All right, so this is essentially the itinerary that I had. We're just gonna go through it together, go back and forth, talk about some of the things in the Loitery that me and my team had came up with, and we just want to get like some more teen input, just some more like input from people in general about how they feel about it, things that can be either improved on or changed, or really just what their thoughts are about it. Anything, nothing too complicated, nothing too serious, just how they would view it.
Right.
All right, so let's see. Pulling them now. Okay. Concept of Loitery. All right. Oh, no, that's the wrong one. That's the wrong one. This is the right one. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go through some introductions. All right, so I'm Christian. Christian Wills. I'm sort of I play sort of an integral role with the Loitery. I'm like one of the, I guess you say like the president or vice president or secretary. I haven't really decided yet, but but yeah, I am one of the board members of the Loitery. It's an initiative we're trying to start up in Wilmington to bring essentially open space and teen programming into the city of Wilmington. That is essentially our mission statement, is to bring value into the city with teens at the center of it all, to make them feel as if they're leaders in their own right. Our operation, teens and youth are at the center of it all. Most, if not all, of their ideas come from them. So any activity, any idea that you guys may have is all up for debate or up for discussion, essentially, to be integrated into the Loitery. And I'll give you more information on that as soon as we go through everything. Teens and youth will use our funding to create and expand their projects, programs, and ideas. So funding could essentially, I'll go into funding later on, there's another section for that, but funding could essentially be, it could be money, or it could be resources, it could be materials that we get that are provided through us from partnerships, from wherever it may be, anywhere that we get our money from, be from grants, from, again, partnerships that we have, or people could be like sort of funding in a sense, as we get more people to help kind of train and to sort of lead on, teens and their roles for what they want to do, for what they want to see themselves do. So there's a lot of ways that can go into that. Teens and youth will partner / network with local businesses, nonprofits, and organizations. So if there's an idea that you have in mind that can exist anywhere else in the city, we want to talk and bring in more organizations to be on board with that. They can be schools, it can be colleges, it can be a small business and another organization, things like that. The possibilities are really endless, but there is a lot of businesses that we can work around with, and because Wilmington, Delaware, really in general, is so small and so close niched, there's a lot of room for that. So it was at this point at the interview where the microphone just kind of stopped working for whatever reason. So I'm going to recap everything else up until the point where it started to work again. So apologies for that. But yeah, so the next part was that teens / youth will also have shared experiences with leaders and organizers within the community. Just so basically they'll have a shared collaboration with others throughout the city of Wilmington, leaders who have probably taken their own programs into approach and, with their own ideas mixed in together. They'll have their own shared ideas and experiences with others in the city. Teens and youth will be rewarded for their efforts and service through a membership service, which I will get into detail with later on within the rest of the podcast. And then we get into roles and positions. So there are members, which are the teens and the youth, and that's just them. They're at the the teens and the youth are essentially the members. Then we have the officers and supervisors. They're sort of the middlemen. Those are also the teens and the youth leaders. So they'll be the ones sort of orchestrating, for the most part, all of the projects or programs that they want to put into place. So that's them. And then we have the board members, which is the president, the vice president, the treasurer, the grant writer, the secretary, and then there's other staff members as well. So I've, sort of into that secretary role. I also see myself sort of as like the face, maybe more so or less, of the Loitery, because I'm always the one, leading the discussion in the podcast and things like that, which is something we want to routinely do, at least once every month or so, or as necessary. So yeah, you have like the president, the vice president, just the essential, main, advocates, the ones who pretty much founded the Loitery, the idea of the Loitery, and want to catalyze that going further. And then there are the community members, and they're just the people within the community, which I've aforementioned before, talked about with the shared experiences. They have an integral role within the Loitery as well. Without them, we wouldn't have much of the contributions outside of the Loitery, as well as inside of the Loitery as well. Then we get into the three pillars. With this, all of the programs have to touch at least one of these three different categories. So you have education, which are programs that serve as a way to educate people or a person on a particular subject or academic field. That's sort of self-explanatory there. If the program or if it's a lesson plan, that they want to approach or have, or just, lead on that. If it's educational, then they could definitely have that approach. If it's informative, or it has some sort of information-based quality toward it. Programs that serve to inform or broadcast information to help spread knowledge to a person or a group of people. So that could be like this podcast, for instance. This podcast, if they want to do like a podcast series, I believe Adriana had said like a radio series. I think she might say that later on within the podcast if it picked up on the mic. I'm not sure. But yeah, they have that approach in mind as well. If they want to do like a website or a social media page to get their information across, they can also do that as well. And then I'll also touch on other ways that they can, do that too. And then there's also community-based programs that provide a service to a larger community that helps to spread culture and bring togetherness amongst each other. So it could be a show. For instance, I host an open mic. So if they want to host an open mic too and, kind of replicate that formula, they can do that as well. If they want to do like, like a guest event or like a motivational speech, they can also partake in that as well. The possibilities are endless, which I'll get into in a second, but essentially they have to fall within these three categories. Because if they don't, then we don't want to just make programs just for the sake of making programs or for the sake of them doing something. I mean, that's fine and all, but we want them to, get something out of it and for them to feel as if they're leaders. That's sort of the main point of the Loitery. So, hopefully, when they start making these ideas together and putting them and making them into projects, they'll flesh out more into these three categories. And then we have examples of potential programs. So, for instance, open mics. That could fall into community-based. Teen movie trivia nights. That could also fall into community-based. It could even be educational in a way. Open mics can also be informative. Fashion shows, again, community-based. Motivational speeches are definitely informative, bring information toward a community, and they can be educational. Art loops, art loops. Everybody knows within the city of Wilmington, we have art loops first Friday of every month. So the teens could definitely partake in that. It could be definitely community-based. It could be informative and educational if they want it to be. Everybody leaves art loop with a little bit of something, so it'd be great for them to partake in, a project like that. Guest events, contests and tournaments both can be, informative or community-based as well. Fundraising, as I've mentioned before, we do have a grant writer and we do try to get money from grants, from, people that are willing to help fund us, from GoFundMe's to whatever we can get. So fundraising can definitely be a way. They can host a fundraising open mic, a fundraising teen movie night, a fundraising art loop, and the cause essentially goes back into the Loitery, into funding these programs, and yeah, it's kind of self-explanatory at that point. Boxing program and, energy mentor program. I believe somebody told me that was something along the lines of like yoga or like something interspiritual. Not too sure about what it is. It was an idea that somebody had brought up to me, but, it gives you an idea of, the limitless possibilities for these programs to reach. They don't necessarily have to fall into one category like art or science or math. They can be really anything, as long as they, again, fall within the three pillars, and they have potential to have success. And then there's the space usage. Now, a lot of these programs, these potential programs, could work outside of the Loitery space, but when we're talking about inside of the Loitery space, they could also work in tandem with that as well. So we have a library media study room. we want them to have something to come into and, use and build on, just have something to give the spaces purpose, essentially. So we want to have like a library space. We want to have a game room where they could probably host like a tournament or a contest, a sound studio where they'd be able to vocalize their voice in a lot of ways. They could use it for like a radio podcast or recording sessions or whatever they like, and then use that as a program. Computer room, an arts room, meditation/yoga room. The list goes on and on. Counseling, hair salon, photo studio, design/programming room. Really, these ideas can range from anywhere to anything, as long as the teens make usage of the space and use those spaces for internal programming. So if they want to make, like a photography program within the photo room or the sound studio, or if they want to have like a hair salon program within the hair salon, they could definitely do that. And, the imagination could go, as far and beyond as possible. And sitting down and talking to Adriana about this, she gave in some input and she agreed with a lot of the things that I was saying. All of it really just sounded really good to her. And I'm glad that, from her outlook and her perspective, that, things were shaping up to look, really well, when I was breaking all the stuff down. But from this point forward, everything seemed to be working well, so I'm going to cut back to the original audio, and we'll see what else we have to say. All right, so, recap on planning. So, all right, any idea of program that has to be presented, planned, or scheduled has to be presented at least 2 weeks to a month in advance. So, definitely we just want to make sure that we can, budget, prepare on time for any plan, for any program that may or may not exist. An event has to be either educational, formative, community-based. We already talked on that.
Right.
We help to fund these events over time and guide the teens/youth on how to construct and program the said event. So we'll give you guys tips and guides on like how to, prepare on what to do with the program. We'll do like some additional research, see what has been working or what hasn't been working in other areas, and just go forward with that.
Right.
Help with setup and layouts, just helping out with, whatever resources you guys need. If an event is profitable, we collect the money, give the teens a portion of that. Basically, any other portion goes back into the program, the nonprofit, essentially. And if it isn't profitable, then it's fine. Whatever value you guys get out of it, or if you feel that it's just something that's just a one and done thing, then it's all right. It's cool. So we keep programming ideas for the future and plan ahead and continue the progress in motion. We just want this to be a continuous thing. We want this to be sustainable and to keep moving forward as time goes on.
Right.
Even if it is a one and done thing, all right, we can do the one and done thing, again, like down the line in the road. If we have like the documents laid out for it.
Yeah, learn from it now so you can do better next time if you want to.
Exactly. And then incentivize community building and reward youth for their hard work and curiosity to learn and create. So, we want you guys to keep creating, what you guys keep designing and building off of what's already been laid out.
Right.
And we want you guys to, feel rewarded. Essentially, like, oh, this is something I made. This is something I created. I want to keep building and doing more.
So it gives them like support and appreciation for what they do.
Yeah, essentially. All right, promotion and funding. So there's a couple ways we can do it. We can do online funding / donations. So that could be like a GoFundMe.
Right.
It could be like an advertisement. So like, hey, we have this program and we want you to be involved. We need your dollars or whatever. It's just something like creative. It doesn't necessarily even have to be a GoFundMe. It could be like any form of donations. It could just be like a simple like poster or advertisement, talking about what the Loitery is, and then people can just donate to it. Concerts, open mic fundraisers. So this is where like, we get in touch with more of the community and say like, this is what we're doing and why we're doing it, all while giving them something to, giving them a reason for why they should be funded. Like, we're doing a concert and we want to do more concerts, we want to bring more culture, so you should definitely, fundraise to help make these, support, these events and the bigger picture, the Loitery in general, to help make them, stronger and more sustainable in a sense. Art contests or any contest at all. Like I say art contest, but when I say art, I mean like it can be music, it can be visual.
Within the whole element.
Within the whole elements of art. Host a contest and have like a grand prize winner or something, or not a grand prize winner. What am I trying to say? Have a contest and say like all the money is benefited toward the Loitery essentially. It could be like a prize. It doesn't have to be like a cash prize.
Yeah, they can like a gift card or something. Like
that. I find, because I brought that up before with a bunch of teens, and they were like, because I was like, what if we had like a contest and like they had like a trophy prize, and they were like, nah, it should be like a gift card, and I'm like, yeah, that's a good idea too. So yeah, I mean anything really. Promotions on social media, but yeah, Instagram, social media, Twitter, Facebook, all of that is a great way to sort of publicize what you're doing. Working over at the warehouse. I know you know what the warehouse is, right?
Yeah, some students from Delaware Futures. Yeah. Okay.
It's like an upcoming, sort of like community center, but it's like by teens, for teens, which is something that, that myself and others had like created the slogan for and all that stuff. But I was helpful with the programming there. So we had programmed like a couple of things that we wanted to prototype. So we did like a fashion show. We did a community, it was an open mic. We had a bunch of people come out to both of those, and we also had 300 teens come out to a teen night that we hosted at the POW.
Was that the one that was too many people?
It was so many people, but regardless of the fact, even though it got shut down and stuff, the fact that 300 teens came out alone because of promotion, because of like Instagram and social media, it just speaks for itself, really. So that's sort of something we want to replicate. Just promoting everything that we do online. Getting people in touch and in the know of what's going on, and just pushing that forward. Website creation. So I think one of my members on my team is making a website.
Right.
For the Loitery. I think he has somebody helping him out with that. There's also like Google Sites is another great way to make a website. I use it to make an e-portfolio. I have to make another one, but it's like simple, easy to use. It's like
I didn't even know that.
I would say it's like Google Slides, but like without all the like slides and like your, like how like it's just a box and you just put stuff in it. But like you're not limited to the entire screen. Like you can use the whole screen and put stuff in it and graphics and all that. It's really cool. It's really intuitive and just like it's free to use too, which is also
Google
important.
Sites.
Google Sites. It's like like when you go to Google and then they have like the options and stuff on the right. You just hit sites and then you can just make a whole website.
Wow.
And I can like I'm also thinking about like this is a side note, like making like a class for the Loitery and saying like, okay, this is what you want to do for like making a class for like e-portfolios, or like business managing or things like that, or making a class for like hosting events or what is it? Not spoken word. Public speaking. Right. Essentially. So there's that. But yeah, website creation is a great way to also legitimize yourself. So I think that's something we're also working toward, is building that. Contact list / newsletter. We were thinking about. I'm in the process of actually making a contact list of all the people that I've been in contact with in Delaware, Wilmington, Newark, wherever, and just getting them involved in what we are doing for the Loitery, and in turn taking that contact list and creating like a newsletter, like an email chain essentially, and just saying like, hey, this is what we have going on for the Loitery for this month, or hey, this is what we're going to have for next year. This is what we did 2 weeks ago or something, and just get people informed via email, because that's another way that we can get people to know about it, like because not everyone uses social media, surprisingly, or not everybody knows how to use it in the best way, and for some people email is probably like the only way you can get in contact with them, especially a lot of older people.
Yeah, that's what I said, if I'm more old school.
Right, so email is just, it's another format. Like some people are like, Facebook, like why would I ever use? Well, Facebook, it's a platform that people still use, and it's a good way to to market yourself. Yeah. So any way that we can possibly bite tooth and nail on every sort of platform we can try. So email, newsletter is a good way to do that. And we might even have somebody who specialize in making a newsletter, and they might even get paid for that. So it's a possibility. Online podcast, so essentially like this, where hopefully the technology does not fail on me.
No.
But I mean, this is good. No, it's working now, so it's good. But jokes aside, online podcast is a good way because I think what we want to do is in the bylaws we want to have basically like a meeting. I think once every month to just sort of catch up, or as necessary or as needed. It doesn't necessarily have to be once every month, but as needed to sort of update people on, what's going on, or like, hey, there's a new idea I have in mind, or hey, there's somebody we want to vote in or vote out, So that's one way to do it, and I think an online podcast would be like a sort of a perfect way to do that. Obviously, not everything would be online, like if we're voting people in or out, but,
right.
If there's new information that we want to share with people, all throughout every social media platform or just on our website, I think an online podcast would definitely be the way to go.
Or even having like a whole radio station.
Right. Yeah, radio station. Matter of fact, I'm gonna put that on there. You see, these are the programs that we need. All right, radio station. I'm definitely adding that, and we could definitely try to make that work. We can make that work.
The next Breakfast Club, man. Like
the next yes.
Yes.
Yes. I love it. So yeah. No, it's like here we go. Radio station. That's a good way to do that. There's like one at UD we can use probably.
Yeah.
Or we can DETV. We could definitely get in contact with them and try to work something out.
That'd be dope.
That would be dope. There's a lot of ways to
interview
do
like
that.
local artists in Delaware.
Right.
Bring it up.
Oh, okay. So another thing that I also wanted to really, really do is put on a platform for artists.
Yeah.
And I wanted to do that through the Loitery. I haven't really figured out a fully fleshed out way to do that. But I was hoping like with teen input and with, more people on board, we would be able to do something where we can bring in artists and say, hey, check out this guy, or hey, listen to this song or music, or,
right.
And, just make them more realizable. I think that would be something, because I'm all about the music and the arts, and
right.
I really want to put on a platform for, different people outside of just like Instagram or what I'm already doing now. I really want that. I really want to push that forward. So yeah, we could definitely talk about that.
Right.
Online podcast partnerships. It's a good way to help get funding and promotion. So like partnerships, you have more people outside of the Loitery to just sort of help expand it even further. So they could help fund us through, I guess, with money or with people that they have essentially. So funding doesn't have to be money. It could just be like they give us resources,
right.
or they give us the space to use, or they give us people who can help to program it all. So there's different ways that we can get funding through them, in ways that are like not necessarily traditional funding, but just ways that can help to build and sustain it a lot longer. All the programs that we have. So say there's a place that specializes in like photography, and they help lend us cameras, or they help lend us, lenses or something. So that's like a way that we can get like funding, essentially quote unquote funding. All right, so gaming tournaments.
Yeah.
So yeah, like if I've hosted like a Smash Bros tournament before, just to sort of prototype it. It wasn't like, because I haven't hosted a tournament before then.
Right.
And it went out pretty well. It was pretty good. It was, well received. I had like a little gift certificate that I gave the winner. But we could, charge people to come in and, participate and make it be like a full on, like, it doesn't have to be Smash Brothers. It could be any game tournament, any
Mario
game, whatever.
Kart 4.
4? What is the fourth? I don't even want to think about that. But yeah, any game, anything, it's hot right now. I don't know, Fortnite, Apex Legends, whatever it is.
Fortnite.
Whatever is, whatever tournament you guys want, charge people to come in, and, we keep all the proceeds, and,
right.
That would definitely work. Grants. Again, we have a grant writer. They just give us grants. We just sign up for grants that we find through the city. There's a couple that... there's one particular grant that I know that I really am trying to get, but we can't get it until we're a nonprofit. But outside of that, there's like the possibilities are limitless in terms of, getting grants and applying for it. It's just trying to, find the right ones staying on top of them, making sure that, my grant writer and myself are, tasked at keeping that ball rolling. So that's, sort of like, that's sort of on our end, essentially. That's not something that necessarily members have to do. That's something that board members essentially have to keep track of, is grants and stuff. Research and develop. Why did I put that there? Research and develop. Research. So yeah, just research like different ways. That's right. Research and develop different ways on how we can just, promote and fund for the Loitery. Because all the things that I listed here are great, but there are probably other ways and other places and other, areas of, I guess, the state or the nation really that, they might fund and program or just, get money in different ways or get resources in different ways that I haven't thought of yet. So there's that. Is there anything else you wanted to say about that, or?
No, I mean, I'm cool with it. Self-explanatory.
Membership. All right, so now we're getting the membership. Just wrote like one thing for that. It's $5 a month. Still just a concept within our bylaws. So yeah, the way that we have like sort of mapped it out,
right,
is that everybody, we don't want it to be too expensive. We don't want it to be anything.
Other people price range.
Right, like we don't want it to be anything that's too like big or like like unrealistic, like $60 flat out fee or anything. You have to sign this and you're part of this for like 2 years. Like, no, you're not signing up for a phone. It's something that anybody, any teen or youth member can just kind of transition in and out of. So, and at the same time, it's also very low. It's a low rate. So like we're saying like $5 a month. I mean, it could probably even be $3 a month, but whatever, like, because not a lot of teens, not every teen has a job, not every teen has money, not every teen has an income.
Right.
Just whatever they have in their pocket essentially is what we're asking for.
Yeah, pocket money, basically.
Basically. So like $5 a month to help sort of fund this and be a member. We're also thinking about doing like maybe like monthly rates or yearly rates, but they're optional. Okay, like it's $5 a month, 5 times 12 is what, 60? So like 60 a year. Like maybe we might have a package for that if they can provide that, but then you have to be dedicated for a whole year. But outside of that, like after like the month is up or if the year is up, depending on whichever you get, you can decide to continue or you can just leave if you want. So it's like you can stay for a month, do a program, and then like leave or recommend it to somebody else, or you can keep it going after the $5 a month is over. So yeah, it's very flexible. We want this to be very flexible. Again, with like your schedule, what you want to do. If there's a plan or a program that you see like a month down the line that you want to do, and you just want to come in for that month, by all means, join and be a part of it. If you see something that's that you can do for a very long time, then yeah, definitely, we would love to have somebody be a part of it. Another thing I forgot to put in is that because this is for teens and youth, we're looking for an age demographic of 13 to 19. So after you turn 20, you gotta go. Let me explain. So like I mean that in the best way though. Like because that is sort of our demographic. This is something that we've been talking about, and even then, this is all subject to change. We were thinking like after 19, you can't be a part of Loitery anymore, but you can still be involved in Loitery. If it makes any sense. So like as like you could be like a board member.
Yeah.
Or we're still trying to like flesh like maybe some things out here and there. I'm trying to remember if we changed it or not. I don't think we have, but we were saying that board members essentially not board members. I'm sorry. That anybody who turns 20 could possibly be like a board member or maybe an officer.
Yeah.
And an officer like has like a very different specific role. Or we were thinking that they could just come back and say like, hey, you've been a part of the Loitery before and you did an excellent job on X, Y, and Z. We want you to come back and do X, Y, and Z, and we will give you a different payment method for that, or like a different like something like that.
So it's like you just don't leave them after they like go. You still try and like.
We don't want to. We don't necessarily want them to like leave or go because we still want them to be part of the community. Again, we're like reaching out to like community members and leaders to help with those teens as well. We still want the teens that are here that are leaving to be a part of it in some way, shape, or form.
Right.
We might even get rid of the whole 19 cut thing. I'm not really sure yet.
Mm-hmm.
But that's something that can also be voted in or voted out.
Right.
So whatever's good for the people, for the mass of the people. If you guys really want that in, then we'll keep it in. If you guys don't, you think there's somebody who might be a little over than 20 who could be a part of this and benefit from it,
right,
then by all means speak it out and say your truth, say your word, and we'll go forward with that. So I think that's probably why I didn't put it on here, because it's something that we're still up for the
debate. Okay.
Things to do as well, things to do as we start programming. Reach out to other organizations. So again, we're going to reach out to a lot of people who can help us stay motivated and stay charging in with the Loitery. There was a event that we went to called Stir 9, which was basically what was it? We were basically promoting the Loitery. It was a public speaking, sort of say what your brand is or whatever event. And people had to vote in to see if you deserve it was a potluck of money. I think it was $2,000. And basically you would go up on stage for 5 minutes, say what your community thing is, and then after everybody went, they would vote, and whoever has the most votes gets X amount of money. And it was top three, basically.
Like a Shark Tank.
Yeah, sort of like a Shark Tank thing.
Okay.
So we were last to go. And I went up and I said my piece about the Loitery and what it was, what our mission was and everything for about 5 minutes. And then after that was over, we won second place. We got $500. The top winner got $1,000. But in that whole ordeal, we were able to network with people. We got our word out. We got some emails in, and people who are just interested in trying to fund the Loitery or bring whatever they can to the table.
Right.
So we're looking for more organizations, and we're looking for more people, just people within the organizations that are interested in helping out in any way, shape, or form. And we will continue to do that as we program more ideas and say, hey, we have this idea in mind, but we can only do it with you guys. Helping us out. So are you guys willing, to help us out? We need X, Y, and Z. And we know that you guys have been interested in, what we've been doing before. So, here's this idea. Are you guys going to be willing to help us out? Or, and just have that conversation, and just, network with them as best as possible to make these programs more realizable. So there's that. Legally declared nonprofit ownership. Now, this is something board members have to do. There's somebody on my team who's trying to legally help us become a nonprofit. We have to do all the 501c3 stuff and sign off on that. Make sure that we apply legally. Do it through a legal process. That's going to take a while, but as we develop these programs, we hope to eventually seek nonprofit ownership and make that again more realizable.
Right. And
then the last one is turn ideas into programs and prototype them. So obviously, as I've said before, just as we move forward, turn them into programs, turning ideas into programs and prototype them in some way. And there are a lot of spaces where we can do it. We can do it here. There's a teen center downstairs that's not really being used, and they've asked me before, actually, if there's any ideas that we have.
We're here
at the library.
Oh, I know what you're talking
about. Yeah, the little teen center down there.
Yeah, no one uses it.
Nobody uses it. And they've asked me before, there's a new person that they hired. I think even the person that was here before had asked about it too, but they were saying if there's any ideas or anything you want to bring to the library and the teen center specifically, let us know. And I'm I'll definitely let you know. So these are places where we can prototype these ideas for, essentially for free, which is always a plus.
Right.
Wherever we go, wherever we can network and talk to people and just say, hey, we have an idea, let's prototype it here and see what they say. So that's something we need to work on as well. Any ideas, concerns, questions, thoughts about that? That's essentially the Loitery all in a weird, long, elaborated nutshell.
Right.
Anything?
Oh, I thought you were saying it as a statement.
Oh no, I'm turning it fully over to you now. Are there any ideas, any concerns, questions, thoughts, any
I think overall, I really like this idea, honestly. Like, essentially, you know, itself, a lot of the things you said was pretty self-explanatory, straight to the point. I mean, I just feel like it's a really good opportunity for the youth, and it gives them, like a place, you know, like a type of position, especially within leadership and stuff like that. Especially because, you know, like you said, like these kids are our future, you know. I'm the future.
Yes.
You know? So
we are all the future.
We're all the future, man. And I feel like this gives them like a really good opportunity to really put their voice out here in Wilmington.
Right. And I think it also works well for a lot of other reasons too. It keeps kids out of trouble.
Right.
It keeps teens out of trouble.
It gives them something to do, because it's just too small. Like, they gotta have something to do. You know?
Right. Like I come here like on weekends, or even like just on weekdays after like maybe 4:00.
Right.
Which is when it really starts to sort of like settle and like businesses start to like close and stuff.
Right.
Like for instance, the library is only open for a certain amount of times during the day. Like yesterday it was closed at 5, and I was like, why is it closed at 5? Like, the sun is still out. It's the middle of the summer. Like, there's got to be something for, like, teens and, like, youth to just do. And, you know, sometimes I get a little frustrated. I'm just like, man, there's really nowhere for anybody to go, like, in the city to just sort of just either chill or, like, you know, make themselves productive or, you know, have something to do. You know, and all the other programs that do have that are, like, scattered all throughout or like outside of Wilmington,
and it's like way too expensive anyways. It's not really, like
the warehouse is it's a good program. It's similar to what we're trying to do here, with a little bit of differences, but it's like out in Riverside, and I think that's where it will continue to exist for the rest of its life. It's just, you know, so it's just like, what about the people in downtown Wilmington? What about the, you know, the teens and youth that walk up and down Market? You know, it's just, you gotta have a place for them, essentially.
Especially somewhere like accessible, because most of them probably have to take the bus and stuff like that.
Right.
So
especially with the buses shutting down, like in the middle of the day, or like on the weekends, or like them coming in between like every other hour or so.
Now during the summer, for all the detours and all the bus changes. And stuff,
construction and all that. Like, you gotta find a place for them to, you know, do something. So hopefully, like, when we do these programs, we get the funding and we have grants and we have, you know, something to essentially represent ourselves in a way that's, you know, I guess ethical, or, you know, that just shows that we have something to prove.
Right.
Then, you know, we'll have the building that can help house all of that and give teens somewhere to go, you know, essentially. So there's that. But yeah, just want to say thanks with that, and for, you know, voicing your concerns and, you know, saying all of that. And I really do appreciate you coming out and, you know, being, you know, a voice for this, because we really need it. I didn't really, we didn't even say your name in the beginning, did we?
I'm Adriana. What would I look at the camera? That camera.
You can look at the camera if you want. So that's Adriana, guys. Thank you for your time. I really do appreciate it. This really needed to get this recorded and get this data in. This means a lot. And hopefully we can, you know, going back to the Loitery, you know, we can, you know, get this out there and get people, you know, interested and, you know, well informed about what we're trying to start up. It's just me and a bunch of other, like, students from the University of Delaware, or people, you know, affiliated with that or have been affiliated with that at one point. We're just trying to do some good in the community. You know, we're just a bunch of young people that really just want to see Wilmington thrive in the best way possible for its youth, and impact them in ways never really thought possible. So that's really our mission. So thank you, Adriana, for being a part of this. Really do appreciate all the help, and all the input. And hopefully we'll be able to do this again probably next month. So yeah, hopefully we get more people on board.
Right.
So yeah, thanks again. This has been a podcast. I have no title for this. This has been the Teen Discord. This has been the Teen. That's what it is. The Teen Discord. Teen Discord. You guys got to come out to the next one.
Come out next month, guys. I can't be the only one.
We'll see you guys next time. Thank you. Yeah.
That's the closing.
That's it. That's a wrap.